everyone, you're watching News Epicentre with me, Marya Shakil. The Supreme Court ordered the status quo to be maintained in the Bengaluru Eidgah Maidan case and ruled that Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations will not be held at the ground. The top court pronounced the order while hearing a plea against the Karnataka High Court order in the matter. Waqf Council and senior advocate Kapil Sibal said that unnecessary tensions will be created if Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations are allowed, as the land has been in use by Muslims for over decades. Mr. Sibal in fact said that a status quo of 200 years is being attempted to be altered. Appearing for the Karnataka government, senior advocate Mukul Rohatgi said that since neither the Bengaluru civic body nor the Waqf board can prove ownership, the land belongs to the state. The main point of contention remains the ownership of the land. The Supreme Court has put that issue in suspended animation, but the legal fight continues in the Hubli matter. A fresh plea has now come up before the Karnataka High Court against the Hubli administration's order allowing Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations at the Eidgah grounds. But one cannot ignore that this is coming right ahead of the state elections, where the BJP government has been on a blitz, pushing its Hindutva credentials. The most recent one being its tussle with the Congress over Veer Savarkar. This legal face-off also comes as the state has seen multiple communal flashpoints in the last few months. From the hijab controversy, where a government college barred female students from wearing the religious attire, to the tussle over azan in mosques, where the state government issued fresh guidelines to regulate the use of loudspeakers. A political clash also erupted over a call from right-wing groups to impose a meat ban in the state, which prompted the bosses of the corporate sector to raise concerns over the spirit of inclusivity in Karnataka. The question remains, is this latest flashpoint also purely driven by electoral politics in the garb of the right to faith? After the Supreme Court's status quo order in the Bengaluru Eidgah Maidan case, a fresh plea is now before the Karnataka High Court opposing the Hubli administration's order allowing Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations tomorrow. The case is going to be taken up. In fact, it is already being heard even as we speak. Joining me now is Ananya Bhatnagar. He tracks the Supreme Court for us. We also have Harish joining me from Hubli. Ananya, I'm going to come to you. Such a late hearing. Will the Supreme Court order that status quo shall be maintained have any implications on the Karnataka High Court hearing?
Definitely, Marya. The hearing is actually taking place, and as a lawyer sources have also told us that after the Supreme Court at around 5 p.m. passed these orders today, maintaining a status quo in the Bengaluru matter, they mentioned the matter before the Karnataka High Court Registrar General, who requested the Chief Justice to place the matter before a bench. And now a single judge bench of the Karnataka High Court at 10 p.m. is going to hear this matter, particularly with regards to the latest development that have happened. And now the Supreme Court order would be placed before the Karnataka High Court single bench, asking for a similar status quo being ordered into this particular case. Though we cannot comment on the finality of this case, but then definitely, because it's an order of a 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court, it's not even a 2-judges bench of the Supreme Court, but a 3-judges bench comprising of Justice Indira Banerjee, Justice A.S. Oka and Justice M.M. Sundaresh, which had clearly ordered that a status quo shall be maintained until and unless the High Court decides the finality of all of these issues. This particular status quo shall be maintained from both the ends, and this would be definitely be asked in this particular matter also with regards to the Hubli case. And definitely we might see that order comes in favor of the petitioners, but then we cannot comment on it as of now. But then definitely the Supreme Court orders have a lot of implications because it is the topmost court of the country. Absolutely. And it is a precedent, in fact, when it comes to cases like this.
Yes.
Marya.
Harish is joining me from Bengaluru. Harish, has there been a change in circumstances on the ground in Hubli after the Supreme Court's verdict in the Bengaluru Eidgah Maidan case?
Well, on the ground, nothing much has changed. But what has changed is the fact that, remember, there's a crucial point. When the High Court today gave this order in the Hubli Eidgah Maidan case, it referred to the order of the Karnataka High Court's division bench in the Bengaluru Eidgah Maidan case, the Eidgah Maidan located in Chamarajpet area of Bengaluru. That was in a way a reference point or a case which was referred and quoted by the court. Now the fact that the Supreme Court has set aside the order of the division bench of the Karnataka High Court in the Chamarajpet Eidgah Maidan case, now that reference point itself has changed. So the petitioners, Anjuman-e-Islam, have approached again saying that, well, you were talking about this case and later in the day we've had the Supreme Court set it aside, ordering a status quo. So you should take note of this. Things have changed and you perhaps have to take note of this and give an order that reflects what the Supreme Court has done with a similar case in Bengaluru.
All right. Ananya and Harish, thank you so much for joining us. Let me bring in my guests now. Dr. Vaman Acharya is the spokesperson of Karnataka BJP. Mohammad Shafi Sadi is chairman of Karnataka State Waqf Board. Kapil Sankla, senior advocate of the Apex Court. We also have Anurag Naidu. He's an activist. Let me begin with the BJP guest, Dr. Acharya. Dr. Acharya, why is the Karnataka government looking at altering status quo? For decades, the BBMP did not say it was a disputed land, and all of a sudden, this piece of land becomes disputed and one on which claim can be made for religious functions.
There is no dispute at all. This ground belongs to BBMP, that is Bangalore Mahanagarapalike, Bangalore Corporation. So Bangalore Corporation and Government of Karnataka have every right to allow it any day. If it is not done for last 10-15 years, it doesn't mean that it should not be done even now.
Not 10-15 years,
and people,
Dr. Acharya. This has not been done for decades. 60, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, for last 30-40 years, it has not been done because nobody insisted. Nobody wanted to do. Now people have approached the BBMP and Government of Karnataka to look into. Same situation had arisen at Hubli also.
Okay.
At Hubli, the government has allowed and court also has said let the government take its own decision or call. So when it is allowed at Hubli, it should have been allowed at Bangalore also. Now since the case has gone to Supreme Court has asked for a stay. We will have to abide by what Supreme Court has said. But now we will see what will happen for Hubli case. But till that time, see, this ground is used only for 2 days in a year. Only 2 days for prayer. If Muslims can use it for a prayer, why not Hindus use it for some worship? There is nothing wrong. And other than these 2 days of Muslim prayers, rest of the days it is a sheep market. And by the side, just by the side, there is a huge temple. People go, come there. So as a mark of people living together, social coexistence and religious harmony, this would have been very good if both the communities.
Okay, let's look at it from the point of view of should this issue have reached the court at all? Shafi Sadi.
Yeah, it should
could
not have been.
Could the Muslim community and the Hindu community have been? Could they have looked at this issue from the point of view of rather? You know, let me finish my question. Purely from the point of view that this is about coexistence, this is about living together, this is of camaraderie. Why not live in that spirit of communal harmony?
They would have played and they would have. देखिए ये तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट नया नहीं है 1965 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट जो जजमेंट दिया था वो तो कॉर्पोरेशन बिल्कुल ये कौन सा भी डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिट नहीं कर चुके हैं इसलिए एब्सोल्युटली देयर इज द वर्क प्लान वो जजमेंट हुआ था अभी तो बीबीएमपी जॉइंट कमिश्नर ने ये पूरा डिस्प्यूट को बहुत बड़ा कारण उन्होंने बीबीएमपी जॉइंट कमिश्नर 200 साल से उधर ईदगाह का नमाज हो रहे थे और बच्चे खेल रहे थे प्लेग्राउंड एंड और ईदगाह नमाज की एक जगह है सेकेंड वन उधर हजारों मुसलमानों का दफन कर चुके हैं उधर मट्टी कर चुके हैं एक मुसलमानों का एक स्मशान एक कब्रिस्तान है उसमें कैसा एक गणेश को ये बैठा सकते हैं उधर हिंदू भाइयों ने पूछ रहे थे वो चामराजपेटे का हिंदू मुसलमानों का भाईचारा का क्या भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं था ये प्रॉब्लम कुछ लोगों का था और जॉइंट कमिश्नर का ये एक बहुत बड़ा एक गलती एक स्टेटमेंट था, उतना ही था। उससे अलावा जो भी नहीं है। 200 साल से वो ईदगाह मैदान है और नमाज हो रहे थे
नहीं,
और
शफी
मुसलमानों का
सादी
मट्टी
साहब,
भी कर रहे थे।
सवाल
ऐसा
ये है कि अगर आप
कब्रिस्तान है।
नमाज 2 साल में 2 बार पढ़ते हैं, ईद में बकरीद में, अगर ये मैदान 2.5 एकर्स ऑफ लैंड जो साउथ बेंगलुरु में है, अगर वो दूसरी कम्युनिटी के लोग यूज करना चाहते हैं, तो इतना क्या इश्यू हो गया कि आप लोग एपेक्स कोर्ट चले गए?
वो नहीं है। वो तो क्या है, गणेश उत्सव को कोई भी मुसलमान उसका खिलाफ नहीं जाएंगे। हमें हिंदू मुसलमानों का भाईचारा चाहते हैं। कर्नाटक का मुसलमान आपको मालूम है, बसवन्ना और कुवेंपु का कर्नाटक है, उसमें हमेशा हिंदू मुसलमानों का बीच एक अमन और भाईचारा थे।
लेकिन अगर आप अमन भाईचारे की बात करें, बहुत अच्छी बात है, ऐसे ही होना चाहिए, लेकिन वो अमन भाईचारा दिख क्यों नहीं रहा है? ये जो अगर कोई भी इशू कोर्ट जाता है तो उसमें कोई जीतता है और कोई हारता है। अगर यही बात अगर आप लोग टेबल पे आमने सामने बैठ करके इशू सॉल्व कर सकते थे, तो इतना क्यों बड़ा कर दिया गया इसको?
देखिए मैडम, ये तो नमाज का एक जगह है, एक कब्रिस्तान है। ओके, मुसलमानों वर्शिप एक्ट क्या बोलते हैं 1991 का, कोई भी देवल में जाके ये मुसलमानों का ये ईद मिलाद मनाना, ये मनाना बोल सकते क्या? वैसा ये ईद का वो वक्फ बोर्ड लैंड है, वो वक्फ बोर्ड का लैंड है, वो नमाज का एक जगह है। वो तो कुछ लोग है, ये पूरे कर्नाटक का हिंदू और मुसलमानों यही चाह रहे थे, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो जजमेंट आ जाए वो तो वही चाह रहे थे। ये कुछ लोगों का गड़बड़ थे और बीबीएमपी।
Who are these people, Dr. Acharya? Who are these people who want to create disturbances and disrupt peace?
See, people are there from both the communities who are emotional. I do agree that there are people who want to do Ganesha festival, and at the same time there are people who want to oppose it, which, as you rightly said, was not necessary. It was not even necessary to go to Supreme Court, because so far it is not done. Now people want to do, let them do. It's a part of coexistence in India, and this ground is centrally placed in central of Bangalore. It's a very huge ground. People use it for all other purposes throughout the year. Why not for Ganesha festival? The Muslims should show broad approach towards coexistence and co-living. This is what
yes, Dr. Acharya, another viewpoint can be that for years Ganesh Chaturthi has been celebrated and has been celebrated in other grounds as well. If the Muslims who say that they have the ownership of this ground, if they have objection to it, then why should, for the first time, municipal corporation challenge the title? In the sense that it has become a title dispute when it was just a case of land which belonged to the Muslims as they have been claiming. Kapil Sankla, come in on this. Right. I've heard from, what played out in the apex court from Dushyant Dave to Kapil Sibbal and Mukul Rohatgi, all of them making their arguments that if the matter was not urgently taken up, a 200-year-old status quo of the Eidgah Maidan would be disturbed. BBMP, however, says that it is a disputed land. Do you think what was so far in the domain of disagreement purely, and it has taken this form of religious disagreement now, and now it has become a title suit? Who tends to lose here?
I think people tend to lose. At the end of the day, this matter is before the Honorable Supreme Court. A special bench had to be constituted, which could otherwise be very peacefully, as you rightly said, the parties could have sat down together and probably resolved it. Around 15, 17 years back, this was already done. An informal meeting took place where both sides decided that the park or this ground can be used for other religious purposes as well. And this was also argued in the Honorable Supreme Court. It was an understanding between the parties concerned, and I think the understanding could have been respected and honored. That's one part. The second part is what Mr. Rohatgi argued on the legal matrix, that the entire park or the entire ground is not the graveyard, and therefore it cannot be constituted that the entire place is the cemetery and has to be protected. And the second part of his argument was that a graveyard cannot be taken to be a religious establishment, and not one party can claim absolute right over it, so therefore there is no ownership over it. That's the second part of it. And the third part is something that I had said in the afternoon, that statistics show that in Islamic countries as well, including Saudi, Dubai, etc., a graveyard or a cemetery is reconverted and reused every 15 years, 20 years, or 12 years. I think it's 7 years in Germany and various parts of Europe. I think in Dubai and Saudi, it's between 15 to 20 years. And so as far as exclusivity is concerned, that is not there. And lastly, a very important point. There is admittedly no one party who has exclusive possession and utilization of the place. It is being used by general public as a Maidan, as a place to play, frolic, etc. What is being argued is that we have the ownership.
Yes.
As the state has stated that this property belongs to us, as it's been excheated as there is no owner. That is one. The BMC has stated, or the corporation has stated, that the property vests with us. It is under the revenue laws. And therefore, under the circumstances where ownership is in doubt and under dispute, possession admittedly does not belong to any one party. Utilization only takes place twice in a year. I think you're absolutely right. The parties should have sat down together instead of wasting the precious time of the Honorable Court.
More than that, Kapil Sankla, I'm looking at the entire timeline here. The ownership of property number 147, measuring 2.5 acres, which is Eidgah Maidan, was challenged by Abdul Wajid in 1955. There was an injunction against the corporation to enter the land by the Munsif court. The municipality then filed appeals at the Supreme Court and the High Court, but the Waqf board got the ruling in its favor. So it cannot be said that it is a disputed land.
Well, the short answer to that is that there are cases, and there were cases pending in Delhi High Court as well, challenging the very right of Waqf board. You see, the Waqf board has special powers. If there is a property that Waqf board claimed possession of and is not challenged, in 6 months, an adverse possession is de facto granted to the Waqf board. The same for any other citizen of India is 12 years. If it comes to government properties, it is at least 20 years. So there have been certain special powers or rights granted to Waqf board which are already under challenge. At Turkman Gate, there are more than 200 and 250 property owners, or shop owners, who already challenged the right of Waqf board, saying that some hanky-panky takes place. Some Matwali claims that he's the owner, gives the property to Waqf board. The Waqf board comes and says, nobody's challenged it in 6 months, the property belongs to us. So there is a lot of grey, there's a lot of darkness that is already happening in the garb of the right that has been granted.
So the right to faith here is
this
now...
is not right to faith. This is right to property.
Yes.
See, right to faith is a totally different thing. This is right to property, a good property in the heart of the city. So this is what the entire case is about.
So you are saying that this Eidgah Maidan case is right to property, not right to faith here?
Absolutely. If you're using a property twice in a year, what right are you claiming out of it? And if the general public is already using it and you're not taking care of it, then in any eventuality, you are not, you do not have any exclusive possessive right to enjoy the property any which ways. That's settled law.
Okay.
So what are you talking about today? You're talking about, I have the right because I belong to a particular community and twice in a year I use that property. Dehorse that fact, nobody else should be allowed to use that property if I do not want. The fact it is not a graveyard property. It is a
Anurag Naidu, why is it that all stories emerging from Karnataka in recent times is polarizing? It's about hijab, it's about halal, it's about loudspeaker, and now this Eidgah Maidan. Why is it that people in general are not able to see through this politics of faith that is playing out on the ground? Or have they been able to already?
So I think it's a very genuine question, and everyone is asking this question: why is it there in Karnataka? But most of the things I believe are very genuine in nature and not something that has been created or incited. Yes, the reactions has been, the actions, the reactions has been very, very aggressive. And they have been able to create some kind of a disharmony in the process. Even this particular matter, it is turning out to be a very classic case. Somebody rightly mentioned it is a conflict of title, but it is also a conflict of faith. And what is happening in the courts is a matter of title. But what we're discussing here it's a matter of faith. And one gentleman who is supporting the other side, who clearly mentioned, that they want to have a secular India, they want to have brotherhood. Fine. I mean, if they can't give permission for 2 days, I'm not saying, because ultimately, so emotionally, people say it's the property of the Waqf board, but
शफी सादी
unfortunately or fortunately,
अभी
it
यहाँ
is
पर
for the
कपिल
court to
सांकला
decide.
हैं जो सीनियर एडवोकेट हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट के, उनका ये कहना है कि ये राइट टू फेथ नहीं है, ये जो आर्ग्यूमेंट आप लोग कर रहे हैं, ये राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी के डोमेन में आएगा, क्योंकि अगर ये प्रॉपर्टी साल भर बस 2 दिन यूज होती है और उसके अलावा बच्चे उसमें खेलते हैं, मैदान है वो, तो उसको सिमेट्री वाला रूप नहीं देना है. वही मुकुल रोहतगी ने आर्ग्यू किया है.
यस और दूसरी बात ये वर्शिप एक्ट है ना, ये उन्होंने बता रहे थे सऊदी में और पाकिस्तान में ऐसा ये कानून नहीं है. हमें हिंदुस्तान में दे रहा है, हिंदुस्तान का दस्तूर पर अमल करना है. 1991 वर्शिप एक्ट क्या बोलते हैं, वो वर्शिप एक्ट का तहत आज का आर्ग्यूमेंट चल रहा है.
नहीं, ये प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट के कैटेगरी में नहीं आएगा. वहां पे कोई वर्शिप नहीं होता है, वहां पे नमाज पढ़ी जाती है क्योंकि मैदान बड़ा है. वहां पे कोई मस्जिद नहीं है.
नमाज तो बहुत बड़ा फर्ज है इस्लाम में. इस्लाम में बहुत बड़ा ये पिलर है नमाज. वो 2 ईद का नमाज हो रहे थे और ये ग्रेवयार्ड भी थे, वही तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट भी बताइए.
ओके, कपिल सांकला, व्हाट विल यू टेल हिम प्लीज?
मैंने जो बोला मैं वही फिर से बोलूंगा कि वो जो पार्क है, जो गार्डन है, वो पूरी तरह से ग्रेवयार्ड नहीं है, और वो पार्क एरिया भी है और ग्रेवयार्ड भी है, और ग्रेवयार्ड को प्लेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट में नहीं माना जा सकता. इनफैक्ट किसी भी एक व्यक्ति या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या सोसाइटी, अनलेस एंड प्राइवेट लैंड परचेज हो, ये नहीं बोला जा सकता कि इसमें हमारा एक्सक्लूसिव राइट है. जब टाइटल अंडर चैलेंज है तो सिंपल सी बात है, आपको ये दिखाना पड़ेगा कि मेरी पोजेशन है, मेरी पोजेशन एक्सक्लूसिव है और किसी और आदमी की पोजेशन नहीं है. यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है कि 4 दीवारी बना रखी हो, प्रोटेक्शन हो, वहां पे माली बिठा रखे हो, वहां का बिजली पानी हम दे रहे हैं. वो एक पब्लिक पार्क है जिसको साल में 2 बार इसलिए यूज करा जाता है क्योंकि सर, मैंने आपकी बात सुनी थी, अब आप मेरी बात सुनेंगे. सर, मैंने आपकी बात सुनी थी, अब आप मेरी बात सुनेंगे. एक में रुकेगा सर, एक में रुकेगा सर. देखिएगा, आप बोलते रहेंगे, मैं बोलते रहूंगा. तो मैं आखिर में ये बोल रहा था, एक सेकेंड, आखिर में ये बोल रहा था कि हाँ, ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ये टाइटल सूट नहीं है, पर अगर आप लार्जर इंटरेस्ट देखेंगे तो इसमें किसी की भी रिलीजियस इशू नहीं है. ये एक बहुत अच्छी प्रॉपर्टी है जो हार्ट ऑफ द सिटी में है, और उसको एक पार्टी कब्जा करने की कोशिश करी है ये बोल के कि साल में 2 बार हम वहां पे एक्सक्लूसिव यूज करते हैं, और एक दूसरी पार्टी है जो कह रही है कि अगर ये खाली मैदान है तो इसको हमें भी यूज करने दे दिया जाए. बेसिक लड़ाई इस बात की है कि
2 दिन के लिए
यहाँ पे रिलीजन कुछ नहीं करता.
शफी सादी जी, इसमें 2 दिन के लिए मांगा गया है.
व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ टाइटल? क्या है ये? गजेटेड नोटिफिकेशन टाइटल नहीं है. और रेवेन्यू का
अगर एक लैंड किसी मंदिर के साथ में बटेड हो, और दिल्ली में बहुत सारे ऐसे मंदिर भी हैं.
एक मिनट सुनिए. वैसा कर्नाटक में हो रहे, नॉर्थ कर्नाटक में कई मठ में मुहर्रम का ये सेलिब्रेशन होता, वही है गणेशोत्सव का कई दरगाह में भी होता. वो तो कई अभी हमारा हिंदू मुसलमानों के बीच भाईचारा बहुत हट जाते हैं. इधर कुछ लोग गड़बड़ करने की कोशिश करे, हिंदू मुसलमानों का भाईचारा को बिगाड़ने को कोशिश करे, वही तो मसला आ गया.
तो मैं भी यही कह रहा हूँ, मत बिगड़ने दीजिए ना, जमीन की लड़ाई छोड़ के 2 दिन कुछ करने दे दीजिएगा.
नहीं टाइटल,
उस तरह से लड़ाई खत्म हो जाएगा.
आप टाइटल का बारे में बता रहे हैं, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट क्या है?
मैं बोल रहा हूँ टाइटल की लड़ाई नहीं है, पर ये प्रॉपर्टी की ओनरशिप की लड़ाई लग रही है. नहीं, कौन कब्जा करके बैठेगा इस
वो तो कानून का दायरा में इंशाल्लाह फाइट करेंगे. वो तो हाई कोर्ट का सिंगल बेंच भी वो करे, और जजमेंट भी है सुप्रीम कोर्ट का 1965 का जजमेंट बहुत अच्छी तरह से बता रहे हैं.
इशू ये नहीं है, इशू सिर्फ ये है कि क्या ऐसा किया जा सकता है कि भाईचारा और अमन बनाने के लिए
भाईचारा चाह रहे हैं,
कम्युनिटी को जगह को यूज करने देगी. आप भी अगर ये चीज कह रहे हैं तो इसमें कोई खराब बात नहीं है कि आप बोलें कि ठीक है, कोई लोग अमन खराब कर रहे हैं, हम हाई रोड लेके आप यूज कर लीजिएगा. ऐसा तो है नहीं कि गणेश चतुर्थी में कोई ऐसी चीज खाई जाएगी, ऐसी चीज पी जाएगी जिससे आपको या किसी और आदमी को बिल्कुल भी तकलीफ होगी. मेरे ख्याल से ये तो बहुत अच्छा एक तरीका होगा कि अमन भाईचारे को बढ़ाया जा सके.
तकलीफ का बात नहीं है. कई जगहों में दरगाहों में गणेश उत्सव हो रहे हैं, मठ में स्वामीजियों
तो
का
यहाँ
मठ
पे
में
भी होने
मुहर्रम का
दीजिए,
सेलिब्रेशन भी हो रहे हैं।
वही तो सारे आपसे
हमारे
यही इंतजार कर रहे हैं कि यहाँ पे भी
नहीं
होने
इधर
दीजिएगा।
नहीं इधर आप बता रहे टाइटल के बारे में, वक्त का प्रॉपर्टी
मैं
कैसा
टाइटल के
वक्त का
बारे में नहीं
प्रॉपर्टी
बोल रहा
नहीं
हूँ,
वो बन
आप
सकते
बात को बदलिए
सुप्रीम
मत। मैं आपसे सिर्फ ये कह रहा हूँ
नहीं
कि अगर जैसे कि
सुप्रीम
आप
कोर्ट
कह
का
रहे हैं
जजमेंट है
कई
वो।
जगहों में बाकी
नहीं
रिलीजन को भी पूजा पाठ करने दे दिया जाता है, सेलिब्रेशन के लिए दे दिया जाता है, तो यहाँ पे भी
वही
दे दीजिएगा।
भाईचारा हमें भी चाह
मेरे
रहे
ख्याल से अगर जो
हमें
लोग
भी
अमन
वही चाह
शांति
रहे
खराब करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं वो नहीं कर पाएंगे। मैं तो एक छोटी सी बात आपसे कर रहा हूँ, मेरे ख्याल से सारे के सारे ये बात कह रहे हैं। मैंने टाइटल सूट के बारे में बिल्कुल नहीं कहा था, मैंने कहा था कि यहाँ पे किसी की रिलीजियस फीलिंग्स हर्ट नहीं हो रही हैं, जिस तरह से गलत बोला जा रहा है।
All right, Kapil Sangla, thank you so much for joining us, Mohammad Shafi Sadi and Dr. Acharya, as well as Anurag Naidu. Shifting focus to our second topic today, and this is a clash between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party in the liquor gate case. There is a new entry that has happened today. This is of Anna Hazare, the former mentor of Arvind Kejriwal, anti-corruption crusader Anna Hazare, the man who led the India Against Corruption movement, which gave birth to the Aam Aadmi Party, wrote a scathing letter to his one student. In a 2-page letter in Hindi, Anna Hazare alleged that Arvind Kejriwal had forgotten all that he preached, and the Delhi government has now formulated a liquor policy by which the sale of alcohol and drinking can be encouraged. The social activist said, and I quote him, "It seems just like liquor intoxicates, so does power. It looks like you too have become drunk on power." Anna Hazare also said that it seems Kejriwal has forgotten that forming a political party was not the aim of the movement, adding that he had high hopes from him during the fight against corruption. But after going into politics and becoming chief minister and forming the government, Mr. Kejriwal has forgotten the ideal ideology. This blow from the father of the anti-corruption movement comes as the Delhi government is fighting a multi-front war with the centre. Today, a team of CBI officials reached the Punjab National Bank branch in Ghaziabad to search Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's locker. Hitting back at the centre in the Delhi Assembly, Manish Sisodia also accused the Prime Minister of corruption, accusing him of raising GST on food items while giving tax breaks to his rich friends. Meanwhile, the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi has sought an explanation within 15 days from the Vice Chancellor of the Delhi Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research University for delaying the CAG audit for 5 years. This comes just a day after Arvind Kejriwal's government accused the LG of a 1,400 crore scam, alleging that Saxena pressurized his employees to exchange demonetized notes when he was KVIC chairman. So amidst the clash of charges that is plaguing the Delhi government, what does this thumbs down from Anna Hazare mean for the party that says it is champion of anti-corruption? Before I get the guests, here's what happened today.
Another day, another twist to the Delhi Liquorgate saga. A team of CBI officials reached the Punjab National Bank branch in Ghaziabad to search Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia's locker. Sisodia was at the bank with his wife, and as crowds gathered to see what was happening, CBI carried out the searches. Hours later, Sisodia gave himself a clean sheet.
जैसे मेरे घर में कुछ नहीं मिला, वैसे ही लॉकर में भी कुछ नहीं निकला। मुझे बहुत खुशी है इस बात की कि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने मेरे घर पे रेड करा दी। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने मेरे घर की पूरी छानबीन करा के तलाशी करा दी, वहां से भी कुछ नहीं निकला।
Amidst the drama, social activist Anna Hazare shot off a scathing letter to his former mentee, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Criticizing the now scrapped excise policy, which is at the heart of the Delhi Liquorgate saga, he wrote, and I quote, "This does not befit a political party born out of a big movement. You too, like other parties, seem to be caught in the vicious circle of power through money. You brought the new liquor policy, which will increase the consumption of liquor and vends opening in every lane. This is not in the interest of the public and would lead to corruption. The way liquor intoxicates someone, there is intoxication of power too. You seem to be drowned in the latter." Unquote.
जिसमें महिलाओं का तकलीफ होगा, मुझे महसूस हो रहा है। अरे उस टाइम ये अरविंद क्या क्या बोल रहे थे, और आज सब तक पैसे की नशे चली गई।
Kejriwal was silent on Anna Hazare's criticism, but put his weight behind his deputy.
आज लॉकर चेक किया, लॉकर में भी कुछ नहीं निकला, तो एक तरह से इनफॉर्मली तो एक तरह से सीबीआई की क्लीन चिट मिल गई है. बाकी सीबीआई के ऊपर प्रेशर है पॉलिटिकल रीजंस की वजह से.
The opposition meanwhile kept up the pressure. BJP held massive protests outside the Chief Minister's house, carrying flags and raising slogans against Kejriwal and Sisodia.
एक साल इनको काम करने दिया गया था और इन्होंने दबा के भ्रष्टाचार किया. देखो अन्ना जी के कंधे को यूज करके यहाँ पर आया था ये.
It's not just the excise policy. An alleged school scam is also haunting the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi. So has Kejriwal forgotten the anti-corruption stance that he started out with over a decade ago?
Harish Khurana, Delhi BJP spokesperson, Reena Gupta, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, Dr. Anika Malhotra, spokesperson of the Congress. Reena Gupta, if the mentor or the guru says that Shishya is on a wrong path, then will it lead to course correction by the Aam Aadmi Party?
Marya, we've seen in the last few days that Bharatiya Janata Party has tried everything in the book to make the liquor, policy scam stick. But it's been clear that none of their allegations are sticking. They started with saying 10,000 crore worth scam, then they came down to 400 crores and 144 crores. And now the CBI FIR actually talks about 1 crore, and that also they're saying 1 crore was transferred from one liquor vendor to the other liquor vendor. So there is no culpability, nothing they've been able to prove. They spent 15 hours in Mr. Manoj Sisodia's house, nothing came out. Today they went and raided the locker also, nothing has come out of the locker. So it's very clear that Bharatiya Janata Party is on a back foot. And so as we see that before every election, they will use somebody, either somebody like Mr. Kumar Vishwas or somebody else. Today they've tried to use Mr. Anna Hazare to say that, this liquor policy is going to increase the alcohol consumption in Delhi and there are going to be liquor vents in every nook and corner. But, Marya, the fact of the matter is that even if this policy would have been implemented, Delhi would have had one vent on 23,000 population.
You have made a rather, spirited defense, but this is not coming from, Kumar Vishwas or those who were just part of the group. This is a letter that has been written by the guru of Arvind Kejriwal, in which he says, जिस प्रकार शराब की नशा होती है, उस प्रकार सत्ता की भी नशा होती है. आप भी ऐसी सत्ता की नशा में डूबे गए हैं, ऐसा लग रहा है.
Marya, he is obviously being misused by Bharatiya Janata Party. Otherwise,
okay, Harish Khurana. Why is the BJP now misusing Anna Hazare? That is what the Aam Aadmi Party is saying.
When Aam Aadmi Party says that Anna Hazare is a BJP man or BJP is using Anna Hazare, it's a shame. It's a shame for the party which was being when they say ki Anna Hazare is my guru, it's a total shame. Now, Reena ji are saying we have got the clean sheet. Who has given you the clean sheet? Nobody. The same clean sheet was given at the time of Swatantr Jain. Since last 4 months, he's in jail. Today, the whole country, whole BJP, whole Delhi is asking 4 questions. You have changed the policy recommendations that the wholesale business should be kept in the hand of the government. Why have you given to the private hands? Second, on the recommendation, they said liquor vent shops should be given to the individuals and through a lottery system. You have given to your friends 27 liquor shops to one zone divided into 32 zones. Why you have done it? Third, when blacklisted companies, manufacturing companies, wholesale companies are not allowed in retail business, why have you given business to them? Why have you given tenders to them? And on our complaint on 25th of October 2021, show cause notice was been issued.
You have asked some questions. I'm going to take those questions to Reena.
30 seconds.
Yes.
Let me complete.
Yes. Okay.
On 25th of October 2021, when show cause notice was been issued to these stated companies, what action you have taken? Point number 4.
Reena,
and the last.
Yes.
Why have you given commission of from 2%
Okay,
to 12%.
Reena,
Straight away answers.
while,
No answer has been given by
while a
any
number
other
of these questions are being raised by the BJP, it has been raised by the Liquor Association also. I've had a number of them on my shows, and your other political opponents as well, Reena. But can we look at the letter of Anna Hazare a little differently? Can it be seen as what you said, that he is being used or misused by your political opponents? Because he is someone who has almost waged a war against alcohol, and he says that you promised something and you have not kept your promise.
So, Marya, if he was not being misused by BJP, then why would he not write on the Gujarat hooch tragedy when, Gujarat is a Nashabandi state and alcohol is freely being allowed to be sold in Gujarat? Why would he not write on that? 26,000 crores worth of drugs have been found in Gujarat.
Okay, Onika wants to come in. Onika, come in.
Why would he not write on that?
Ma'am, it's so tragic. Today let's talk about Anna Hazare ji at least. The person who came India against corruption and the whole thing came in Delhi. Just imagine, ma'am, today the Delhi government and Kejriwal government talk so high about education. Am I right, ma'am? Every time you bring in liquor, they talk about education policy. Education is all about Guru Shishya. So is their education policy that good that they say that the Guru has been used and misused? What kind of education are they giving the children of Delhi then? It's $1 million question. At a time like this, you're saying who's using who? A disgrace on Aam Aadmi Party. At least give that man that much of respect. Yes, he was our alma mater. He showed us the way of politics and we have used him or whatever. Even don't say we've used him. At least give him the due that he's giving you space to come to politics.
Reena?
We respect Anna Hazare ji. I am not, I'm not refuting that. But Marya, he is being used by Bharatiya Janata Party today. But the question is, the Bharatiya Janata Party is raising all of these questions. Marya, we've answered each and every question. We have raised 2 questions. The Lieutenant Governor of Delhi was involved in a scam of 1,400 crores during demonetization. Why did Prime Minister Modi make him the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi? Did he not find anybody else? My second question is, from where is Bharatiya Janata Party finding all this money for conducting Operation Lotus? They were trying to buy our MLAs. They bought 277 MLAs. Where is that money coming from? Is that money coming from
my friend from Aam Aadmi Party is saying,
alcohol in Gujarat?
Can I come in?
Where the Operation Lotus money is coming from?
Can I come in?
Yes. Go ahead.
It's every time. Can I reply? Can I rebut? My name is Harish Khurana, Rinaji. It's not yours. Let me answer your questions. Huh? Every time when we ask a question of physics, they come into history. When we ask a question of history, they go back to Hindi or English. Point is not this. She said we have given all the answers. Bhai, hame nahi malum. Please give the answers now. What 4 questions have you what I have asked on the channel? Please reply it.
They are saying
why
none of the above.
Manufacturing companies. I mean, why manufacturing companies were blacklisted?
Reena is also smiling, so that's a good, they are saying none of the above, that the questions that you're asking cannot be answered, none of the above. They have their own set of questions.
Then why she's saying we have given answers to all the questions? So this is a diversified tactic, that's it. One day she talks about New York Times, second day about the Jati of Manish Sisodia, third day 5 crores, fourth day 20 crores, next day poaching of MLAs, 7th day confidence motion, everything has been flopped. This script has been flopped. A new script has been coming up. No script has been come up. Achha, now she's saying what is the latest figure?
What is the latest figure of scam? Because it went from 10,000 crores to 500
Marya, can I reply in one Hindi reply. पहली बार एक चोर कह रहा है कि मैंने चोरी करी है, लेकिन विपक्ष बताए कि कितना पैसा खाया. Look at them what they're saying. We have taken the money. Please tell the opposition how much money we have taken. What a shame.
पुराना $1 trillion में कितने जीरो होते हैं? आप लोग रोज चेंज
आप खाते हो ना पैसे, हमें नहीं मालूम. मैं बहुत गरीब आदमी हूँ मैं बहुत गरीब आदमी हूँ. मैं $1 trillion नहीं होते, मेरे पास $1 trillion नहीं होते. I don't have $1 trillion. Arvind Kejriwal might be having. मैं बहुत गरीब आदमी हूँ. I am very poor. I don't have $1 trillion money. Again,
then 100 crore, and now the CBI lawyer talks about 1
frustration,
crore.
frustration.
Reena, tell me that why is it that you're not even getting support from other parties in opposition, including the Congress? Why is Onika also raising similar questions as Harish Khurana is? And Onika, I can see she's raising her hand. Please go ahead, Onika.
Marya ji, all I want to tell you, it's really, really sad and disgraceful. A time like this, when we are reeling under in unemployment, poverty, look at the inflation, so much to do. Look at the way the bickering is going on. Is this the level of politics? Come on, rise above that. Stop it. Are you going to drag us to the level of no return? One does a hate speech and divides the country. One gets into, the mode of Harish Chandra ki aulad. And then they say CBI found nothing. My Loka, I found a Junjana. Yes, obviously a Junjana will be there because that's exactly what they are doing with the people of Delhi. They are giving the Junjana and lollipops or whatever you call them. I'm sorry, I don't want to use those words, but this is the sad state of affairs. It's unfortunate to see a party which has actually got so much of majority in Delhi. We were actually ousted from Delhi. I mean, despite 15 years of good work, they have taken over Delhi completely, ma'am, with 62 MLAs and BJP. Beautifully, 7 MPs, 8 MLAs sitting in the Vidhan Sabha, mum about the Aabkari Niti. Why didn't they raise a question then, were they a party to it? That's a question, ma'am.
I'll give the final words to Reena. But before that, Harish, quickly, 30 seconds to you, and then Reena gets the final words.
I understand the problem, Onika ji. They're into dilemma.
No problem.
If they support the...
Let me.
Okay.
If
they support the ED Act, CBI raids, then the question will arise: why are you opposing Rahul Gandhi? So they are into dilemma whether to support or whether to against. I understand the problem of Congress. I understand.
You can't compare both the things. If the
double side.
conviction rates are zero, if the conviction rates of CBI is poor, question will be
Rahul Gandhi.
You can't pick and choose. You can't have
Onika. You're a friend of mine.
CBI.
Onika, you're a friend of mine. You're a friend of mine. Listen to me. Listen me out.
Okay.
Listen me out. The point is this. Today, the Aam Aadmi Party is into twin towers of corruption. On one hand, education, and on the other hand, this liquor.
Yes.
So twin tower of corruption has to come down.
Yeah.
Okay, Reena gets the final words. Reena, I'm referring to this letter again. You joined us because of the Lokpal movement, but since then, you and Manish Sisodia have visited Raliganj Siddhi village several times. You have seen the work done by the villagers. Liquor, bidi and cigarettes are not for the sale in the village for the last 35 years. You were inspired to see this. You praised this too. These are words of Anna Hazare.
Marya, it's very clear that the Bharatiya Janata Party has basically been trying to break the Delhi government. They've been trying to buy our MLAs, and as part of this whole conspiracy, they're going to file more and more cases against our leaders, our ministers, our MLAs. You will see more raids happening. You will see Mr. Manish Sisodia going to jail. But I can assure you on your TV program that nobody can break Aam Aadmi Party. None of us are corrupt, so none of these charges are going to stick, and all of us are going to come out scot-free and stronger on the other side.
They know it beforehand. 6 months ahead, they know that CBI will come, continue to jail, they know so well, their lockers will be open, and they invite the CBI. Oh my God, stop that gimmick. Stop that eyewash.
You will see the Delhi model.
It's written on your face, out, left, right and center.
You remember 3-4 months back? You remember we were on the same channel, and what she said, what the people says, Chaturthi Jain is imandar, kattar imandar. 4 months
He's
now.
imandar, he's kattar imandar. The ED
on the order of court, they're in jail. Not to ECB, not to ED. Mind it, it's on the order of court, they're in jail.
It was my turn to speak. Stop interrupting me, Harish Khurana. The ED Marya the ED court actually scolded and said that you've not even filed the charge sheet properly. Photocopy leke aa gaye aap.
That's the reason.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Harish Khurana, Reena Gupta, Dr. Onika Mehrotra. It's almost like a press conference a day from both the sides, Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP, levelling charges and counter charges against each other. We're slipping into a short break. After that, we'll be travelling to Jharkhand. There is a twist in that entire investigation. She was a minor. But in the FIR, the police said that she was a 19-year-old. Why did they do this? Was this to really, avoid and escape the stringent POCSO? We'll try and raise those questions after a very short break. Stay with us.